Hey, welcome back to the show, and you're on with Behind the Internet. Welcome back. If you've been watching us, welcome back. We're happy to have you. And don't forget about our comments as you're going through the show. Throw some questions. And today, we're going to be diving in and taking a closer look at Wisper Home. Again, I'm Aaron. I'm one of the outside sales reps for Wisper Internet.
Very good. Hello, Aaron, and I am Jesse. I'm out of the Washington, Missouri office, field services and towers. And like Aaron was saying, we've got Gabe Petersen back from Calix to talk to us more about the new Wisper Home app that we launched recently. If you want to, and I definitely recommend it, we had a really good episode about the Wisper Home app just recently, probably about a week or two ago. Going over all the features. And today we're going to specifically talk about, like Aaron said, the parental control feature of that. I know that's super important for the parents these days with all the kids being involved on the internet. I think parental controls super important. So here's Gabe. Thank you for joining us again, my friend.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you having me again. I guess I didn't screw things up bad enough that you didn't want to have me back this next time. So I really
that's true. We let you back.
You did let me back. So things must have gone okay at least.
No, they went great.
It's a pleasure speaking with you again.
Yeah, we had an excellent response. I'm sure we're going to have an excellent response out of this show. And if you didn't hear about it already, we've launched a new service called Wisper Home. It's part of our Wisper Care Plan. And with that, it gives us tons more features to add to our services, like our new router and equipment. We're able to, and we'll throw all those comments in the. We'll throw all those details in the comments, and so that way you can kind of learn more about the last show that we kind of discussed. And if you didn't see that show, check us out on Facebook, and also check us out on YouTube as well. But to recap, Wisper Home allows you to control your devices within your home all from your app, which is amazingly cool already. We went over the basics last time in our last show with Gabe, and we're happy to have him back again. So, Gabe, tell us about some of the options and filters and profiles and parent controls and all that cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's get into it, guys, and I'll share my screen here in just a sec. But I think parental controls are really top of mind for a lot of parents right now, right? It's with our kids learning from home more, and just concerns about screen time and all of that. It's really top of mind. I know even in my own home, I have a 5-year-old son, and wasn't thinking that I was really going to need to be that worried about parental controls this early, frankly. But he's got a Chromebook for school now. He's doing 100% remote learning, and it's been something that my wife and I have been talking a lot about. So, as Aaron mentioned, with the Wisper Care Plan, there's a ton of great functionality to really control the types of applications, the type of content, and just frankly, the amount of time that your kids are spending on specific devices and specific applications. So we're going to talk through that today, and I'll go through some specific examples of how you can set this up within your own home to make sure that you've created some boundaries that you feel are appropriate for your children within your own home.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, guys, want me to jump in and share?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Let me get this going here. All right. Can you guys see that screen okay?
Yep.
Perfect.
Sure can.
Awesome. So when we open the Wisper Home app, this is the screen that we're going to come to. And as Aaron and Jesse both mentioned, we did do a pretty detailed overview of a bunch of the different functions within the app on a previous session. So I'm going to skip through some of that basic stuff, and let's actually jump into really the parental control section of this. So up in the top left-hand corner, up in that hamburger menu, if we click on that, we will see on the second tab down there, parental controls. So let's go ahead and click on parental controls. And in here, I've set up different profiles for different members of my family. So that's my wife up at the top, my son, and I have a couple of different profiles set up for myself, a personal profile and then a work profile. My wife actually just came to me a couple of nights ago and said, hey, we need to add parental controls to I have an Amazon Echo device in my son's room, and he's getting a lot more interested in talking to it and playing different things. And so she was concerned that potentially he would be listening to music or doing things that we didn't necessarily want him to do. So she asked that I actually add some parental control bounds around that. So I actually haven't done that yet, but we can use this as a good example to go through and actually do this today. So if I want to create a profile, I would go up into the top right-hand corner and click on that plus button up in the top right-hand corner to create a new profile for anybody within my home. If I want to edit a profile, I can just click on that profile name. And from here, then I can click on devices and add a device. So right now, my son's only device that's set up is this Chromebook for school. And if I want to add another device, all I have to do is go in here, click on the bedroom Echo. This is the one that's sitting in his room. Click submit. And that device is now successfully added. So now all of the filters and time limits and usage information around all of the devices that are connected to his profile are now going to show up under that profile.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic and super detailed of what you can do. I'm already seeing like the potential of what you can do and all the limitations that you can put on these things.
Yeah, and just, if I wanted to, like, let's say it's dinner time and I want him to get his, nose out of the Chromebook or whatever, and I just want to disconnect it from the internet, I could then go here and just disconnect disconnect the internet for all of the devices that are connected to that profile by clicking that pause button.
That pause button, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a really nice feature just straight away, right? Being able to do that, for all of those devices. I'm actually going to drill into my work profile because I've got a lot of filters set up in here that I think are very helpful potentially be really helpful for parents. So on this profile, I have my work laptop, my work iPad, another work laptop, all attached to this profile. The filters is really where the meat of the enhanced parental control solution lives. And this is, again, part of the Wisper Care plan that's through this Wisper Home app. So if we click on the filters, there's 3 different ways that you can filter. There are content filters, there are application filters, and there are website filters. And we're going to talk through each one of those. So let's talk first about content filters. Content filters, the first 2 that you see here are safe search and YouTube restriction. We would definitely recommend that you turn these on for any child's profile. And what these are going to do is, if safe search is an example, without safe search turned on, if your child went and searched for, let's say, inappropriate content, pornography or something like that in Google or Bing, and oftentimes without safe search turned on, they would still be getting preview images when that search comes back. And that, I think, is really problematic for parents, right? Because if you don't want them seeing that type of stuff, you don't want them seeing it at all, whether it's a small image or their ability to click on that actual website. So with safe search turned on, you're going to actually block that entirely, where they won't see any of those preview images, anything like that. So that's definitely something we would recommend for a child's profile. If you're worried about them accessing specific content that you don't think is appropriate for them, definitely turn safe search on.
Yeah, no, like I said, the amount of the deep detail that we're getting into just from the app, how it already has YouTube restriction on there, because I know how heavily I use YouTube, and I know that you're right, just on the preview pages of some of these YouTube images or whatever, before you even get into the video. I know you haven't really gone through that one yet, but I'm curious of how well that works, how it already has a YouTube restriction set up within this Home app. That's really cool.
Yeah, the YouTube restrictions, I think, really helpful as well. I mean, I like to I like to describe YouTube as a casino, where it's like they don't want you to leave, right? There's no windows, there's no clocks. They just want to get you into that platform, and they want you using it forever. And so part of the thing that they do is they're serving up other videos on the right-hand side of YouTube, right? So with YouTube restriction turned on, and again, this is something that we would definitely recommend that you do for your children's profiles. There's a couple of things that's going to do. It's going to block content that, again, you think is inappropriate. And I think the best example of this is one that some other folks on my team have actually shown recently, which is they went and turned YouTube restriction on, and they went into YouTube and searched for stripping. And when they search for stripping, the videos that come back are all about stripping paint and stain off of wood. you can imagine that with YouTube restriction turned off, the results there would be very different, right? So right away, you're getting a significant, filter that's happening within YouTube. The other thing that this does is it limits the suggested videos that are going to show up on the right-hand side of YouTube. So again, that's, that casino analogy. They're serving up all of this content because they want you staying in that platform and they want you clicking on that next thing. So it's going to restrict that content as well to content that is, again, more appropriate for a child. The other thing it does, the last thing it does, is it actually blocks comments. The internet is a weird and wild place, and people put all kinds of things into comments. And having the ability to just block all comments where your child cannot see that, I think, is a really big win for parents as well.
Yeah, you are correct about that. I didn't even think about the comment section. I would almost want to filter that out first.
Yeah, seriously.
Right?
Yeah,
that's brilliant. So yeah.
So the nice part about this is it's just a simple toggle, right? You want YouTube restriction turned on? Cool, no problem. Check that box. And then all of the devices that are connected to this profile will have YouTube restriction. And in this case, also safe search turned on for, for all of the devices connected to that profile. Then we get into the categories. So this is where you have a lot of flexibility as a parent to block categories that, again, you think might not be appropriate for your child. So if you're concerned about pornography, nudity, gambling, violence, social platforms, those sorts of things, there's a big list of things here that you can go out and block. So you can be very flexible. Maybe you have couple of kids and you feel like one is, a younger one, you don't want to have access to social networks, but the other one, it's okay if they're on Facebook and Instagram and some of these other things. You've got all that flexibility here to set those up by profile and by device. So you have a lot of flexibility as a parent to, set appropriate limits based on how old your child is and just your kind of feelings about this. The other thing that we would recommend is at the very, very bottom, you see that thing called VPN and proxy. That's one that maybe not a lot of people know what that is, but these kids, they're very clever, and they figured out that if they logged in through a VPN or proxy, they could actually get around some of the parental controls. And that's true of any parental control solution. So what we added was a ability to block that application entirely. So again, if you are setting this up for a child, we would definitely recommend that you turn on that VPN and proxy filter so that your kids can't figure out a way to kind of get around some of these. So definitely recommend that you do that as a content filter there.
I just need to right now, just thinking, please, Mom, don't watch this.
I think I said this on the last video, but I feel like I'm like the bane of children's existence everywhere, with sharing all this information.
If you're 15 or below, you might want to actually, 30. If you're 30 or below, you probably don't want to. What was that old saying way back in the day, 60s, 70s? You don't trust anybody over 30 or something like that. That's dating me way back. That's kind of before my time, but I think I've put that around. I don't trust anybody under 30 these days, I think. So
no, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I'm sadly well above that.
It's good to know you don't trust me then.
Well, I just turned 31, so I'm in the clear. No, I'm way older than that. So no, this is good stuff. And since we are kind of off the rails a little bit, and we've got a nice little break, anybody who's got questions ever, while you're watching this live, please comment. We'll answer those right away. If you're watching this later on Facebook, comment right below. We will answer. And then YouTube now. We got this on YouTube as well. So anytime anybody's got a question, even if it's for Gabe, we know where to find him. We can get to him, and he'll love to answer any kind of questions about this app. You can tell that he's extremely passionate about this, and they over there in Calix, they've done a good job with this thing. Just looking at all these the filters and the functionality and the details that you can do is just from an app. It's pretty amazing. So go ahead, Gabe. Go on with the next one.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about application filters as well, because I think there's a ton of value for parents here also. So we talked about the content filters, just blocking entire chunks of content, but the application filters allows you to get really specific, either blacklisting or whitelisting specific applications. So I've got 3 examples set up here. So maybe I feel like Call of Duty is not appropriate for my kids, right? As I mentioned, my son's 5, I have a daughter who's 1 as well. So, probably not a lot. I'm not a gamer, so not a lot of Call of Duty getting played in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I've blocked that application entirely. So no Call of Duty applications are able to be used in my home. I can also whitelist applications. So if I wanted to go back to this content application filter as an example, if I wanted to block all social networks, I could turn that on. And then I could come back to this application filter and actually say, you know what? Grandma and grandpa are on Facebook. I still want my kid to be able to engage with them on that social platform. So I'm going to allow Facebook, but I'm blocking all other social applications, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever other one that I've never heard of because I'm not cool enough. But all of those applications would then be blocked, except for the one that I've specifically allowed here. So again, I think that provides a lot of flexibility for parents to, create bounds that they feel are appropriate for their children and still be able to have connectivity with, maybe grandparents or parents and things like that. So I really like that one. The other one that I think is very, very helpful for parents as well is being able to block an application for a specific amount of time, or time bounded is really a better way to say that. So what I've done here with TikTok is I've said, you know what, I'm going to set a 30-minute time limit per day. So my child cannot spend more than 30 minutes per day on TikTok on any of the devices that are attached to this profile. Very flexible. This goes down to 5-minute increments. So, maybe they've had a good day and you want to give them a little bit of additional TikTok time, give them an extra 15 minutes or whatever, right? So you've got a lot of flexibility there to allow an application for a specific period of time. I've been joking with some of my colleagues here that, it's really easy to get lost in TikTok, and they've been telling me that maybe they need to set some parameters for themselves in here as well. Like, I just wasted 2 hours on TikTok. I really need to set some time bounds for myself. So you want to set it for your kids, you want to set it for yourself. Either way is fine with us, but you have that flexibility to, create those specific time bounds for your children for those specific applications as well.
Yeah, for your children or yourself. The game hits home for me, when my son was, I think, 7 or 8 years old, like, hey, I want to get Grand Theft Auto, or just any game that is most likely inappropriate for a child. I'm like, oh, absolutely not. But now I can make sure, now I can make sure to add Grand Theft Auto in there, Call of Duty, whatever it is, and then completely block it out. And then I'm looking at TikTok, and I know how hot that is right now. I mean, if I'm looking at my daughter or my son or my other daughter or whatever, most likely it's going to be TikTok that they're on. So it sounds to me like I need to figure out what's going on with TikTok and see what all the fuss is about.
I like the timer on that, because my biggest thing with TikTok was, not to talk about apps, but TikTok, when I first put it on and was new to it, I'd get on the funny ones. I was just laughing, and it gets addictive. And next thing I know, my phone battery is dead, and I'm like, wow. Okay,
right. So self-limitation on there, it could be something that I could totally see myself self-limiting myself on some of these things, because you really can get lost in time. It's a thing. I mean, that's how it works. Absolutely. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to get lost in time in their application.
They do indeed. Yes, indeed. So I love that flexibility and just creating those, again, boundaries for your kids that you feel like are going to be more appropriate. And I think, going back to the beginning of this conversation, with our kids spending so much more time on screens now for learning as well, I think it's just really important to, create those healthy boundaries, when they're not learning also. And then the last one on here is website. So very similar to the application filters, just for a specific website. I've just set this up as an example. So any of the devices that are connected to my profile cannot go to yahoo.com. If I do go to a Yahoo site, it's going to be blocked entirely. So if you want to get really specific about, individual websites as well, you can do that here and either allow them. So again, you could whitelist them, or you can just block them entirely. So that functionality is there as well. And to add a new one, I forgot to mention this on the application filter. So you would just search for a particular application. So maybe, Netflix or, something like that, can add that as well. And then the website filters work the same way. You just type in the URL at the top and then hit the add button, and you'd be good to go.
Yeah, we're almost to the point like why wouldn't somebody want the Wisper Home app? This is
I'm with you.
yeah, and seriously, this is quality. I mean, this is absolute gold quality right here. What you can do to limitate and limitations on time, just on content. You know, you got chores you need to do around the house, just from your phone. You know, bam. You need the kids to come talk to you. Boom, hit a button, and then all of a sudden they're right front and center. You know, what do I need to do? You know, to get back on this phone. It's sad that or phone or device or whatever it is they're doing. It's it's kind of weird to think about, but that's just the time that we're in. So this is extremely
Yeah,
important.
absolutely. I was talking to a colleague whose children are a little bit older, and she had two girls, and she's like, I just can't imagine how many fights this would have saved me every day if I had this when they were teenagers, because you're just taking that fight away. It's in the app. It's your kids are going to get used to it, and then you're just not having that day-to-day fight of literally having to take their devices away from them. And I just think it's really powerful as well to be able to have all of the devices have these settings, right? I think that's a huge thing for this. Is it's not just, you may be able to go onto your kid's iPhone and set up some of these specific parental controls, but if they've got 3 or 4 devices, which I think is very realistic for many kids right now, right? They've got the gaming platform and an iPhone and maybe an iPad and a Chromebook for school or whatever. Having to do that on every single device is a giant pain, and having that all directly within here, I think, is a huge win for people as well.
I think 3 or 4 devices is low anymore.
Yeah, you're probably right. yeah, actually, that's probably true. And then on the notification side, I just wanted to call this out really quick. So when a block occurs, you will see that in the notification. If you have push notifications turned on from the app, those will actually pop up to your phone as well. I think that's a really good reason to have the notifications turned on, is so that you can see if your child tries to go do something that you feel like is inappropriate. And then those notifications always persist in the notification section. You can click on the details here and see, well, what was it that came up, right? What did that child try and do? What device was it on, and what actually happened? So all of those notifications will always persist in the parental control section as well.
Yeah, Gabe, this is gold. This is golden. Yeah, this is definitely gold. I mean, before you might have to, get some sort of program on your computer, whatever it is, for all this parental control. They're clunky. They're hard to use. You got to remember. You'll have to have a little bit of login information here, but I've tried to use them before, and it's not very user friendly. So you end up just not using them a lot of the times.
Right.
It's right there, right at your hand, and extremely user friendly. Extremely user friendly.
And I see this as like 2 avenues: great for parents,
and
even small businesses. They probably
that's
want
a great point.
Employees from doing, no Facebook. So. I could see this definitely on 2 points. Like, man, it's definitely a good all-around app. You definitely, like Jesse said, why would you not want this? So it's awesome.
No, it's a great point on the small business side, and even like coffee shops or restaurants, who have open Wi-Fi. You probably don't want people coming in and using that for, weird stuff, right, that you wouldn't want. Right. So, hey, set up some of these profiles within your small business as well, so that people aren't coming in and doing things that you feel like are inappropriate. All of those same filters could be applied to anybody who's connecting to the wireless, the wireless access point. So yeah, that's a great point. I love that point about small business as well.
And I even used it in the fact here about a month ago. A business that has a restaurant attached to it. And she actually used the guest Wi-Fi, so her everybody that came in had their own Wi-Fi connection. But then for her business and credit card machine, she had a whole separate deal going on all through the Wisper app. Yep. It was pretty cool. I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. Yeah, in fact, we touched on guest network a little bit last time. We can circle back to that, but that would be a great way to do it, right? You'd actually set up a guest network effectively for all of your patrons who are coming in, and then every time something gets connected to that, it would fall under one of these profiles where all of these filters would apply. So I think that's a great way to look at it. Yeah. So we were talking about usage a little bit, and how much time you're spending. I'll come back to time limits because I want to hit on that as well. But I just wanted to talk about usage really quick. This is another area where I feel like just exposing this information is incredibly powerful for parents to understand how much time is being spent on specific applications. Now, these are all my work devices. So again, my stuff is pretty boring. It's a lot of Microsoft Teams and, some Facebook, a lot of LinkedIn, some Pandora, right? So, listen to music a lot of times while I'm working. So, but, that using that TikTok as an example, if you were to come in here and see, oh my gosh, my kid spent 3 hours on TikTok over the last day, or maybe over the last week, they were on there for 20 hours. Like, I got to create some boundaries around this. The other way that I've seen parents using this is if they come in here and they see an application that they don't recognize, then they immediately go back and add it as a blocked application, and then wait for their child to come and have a conversation with them about, hey, this thing's not working anymore. And, then you'll be able to have a conversation with your kid about, well, what exactly is this thing that you're trying to do, and maybe create some healthy boundaries and maybe a little bit of a dialogue around that as well. So I think there's a lot of really helpful information here, just even around the usage, that can help parents, understand how their kids are actually using the internet much more effectively, and then create those boundaries.
I could imagine that this would this could be eye-opening, seeing some of this data there, and like you just said, it will create some hopefully healthy conversation between you and the kids about what's going on and time limits and certain applications and stuff like that. So, this I wish we had this thing years ago. Given this much detail, it's beautiful. Yeah.
And then going back again, kind of creating boundaries, right? So on the time limit side, this is where you can actually create automated times where all of the devices that are connected to this particular profile will not have any internet connectivity at all. So I think the best example of this is like a bedtime routine, right? So if I wanted to go in here and set a bedtime routine so that at 10 p.m. all of the devices get disconnected from the internet, and at 7 or 6 a.m. all of them can be reconnected. So this would just be creating that routine. So when 10 p.m. rolls around, all of the devices that are disconnected, or that are connected to that profile, I should say, will get disconnected from the Wi-Fi, and they won't get reconnected until this end time. You can set up multiple of these a day. So if you wanted to set up multiple time limits for the day, you could. I think the other way that this could be really helpful for parents right now is with like the gaming system, right? So between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., the Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo Switch has no internet connectivity whatsoever. And that I think can help parents who are, with their kids learning remotely, things like that, then that device hopefully isn't even a temptation anymore, because the kid knows that it's not even connected to the internet during those hours. So I think there's a couple of different ways that you can really use this, but I love that flexibility of being able to go in here, set those time limits. You can set them for all days. You can set them for specific days, maybe Friday and Saturday night. You let the kid have a little bit more connectivity a little bit later. And then, during school, during kind of school days, you can tighten that up a little bit to reinforce a bedtime routine. So a couple of different ways that you can use that, but I love that time limits feature in here as well.
Yeah, we've definitely redefined parental control here in the last 20 or so minutes we've been doing this, because, before I'd hear, parental control, that device or this TV's got parental control, I wouldn't mess with it because it's clunky. This is the functionality and the user friendliness of this and of what you can do is, you guys definitely have thought of everything for sure.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that.
Good.
No, I love this. I think this is such a powerful, tool to put in parents' hands, and just to take those fights away, provide those healthy boundaries for kids. This is only going to get progressively more intense as technology becomes more pervasive, and our kids are I was joking the other day that my son will never remember a day where you didn't speak to a computer. There's this whole world of kids who, they're the smartphone generation, right? They don't remember the world before an iPhone. Well, he won't remember not being able to speak to a computer and it just doing things. And it kind of blew my mind, but it's just, technology is just pervasive in our lives right now, right? And creating those healthy boundaries, I think, is really important for kids. So anyway, anything else you guys want to hit on? I think that's everything I wanted to go through on the enhanced parental controls.
No, that was awesome.
Very thorough, just like last time. We appreciate it, and I just kind of wanted to hit. You're right about about the screens and the kids not remembering. Before a child even knows how to walk, it seems like they're dragging a phone or a tablet behind them on the floor. I see that all the time, and that's where we're at, and this is a wonderful tool. I think the earlier you start, the better. You can do this at any time. You might take it used to, but definitely the earlier you start using an app like this and parental controls, the better to get the child used to some of the boundaries and the filters and stuff. So yeah.
No, it's a great point. I mean, I this really snuck up on me with my son, and not thinking about. I really didn't think that this was something I was going to have to worry about. And then all of a sudden, with remote school and having to go get him a Chromebook and all of these things, it was like, whoa, okay. I mean, the first thing I did when I got him that Chromebook and I got it connected is I went in there and I went and checked all those boxes, right? I mean, it was literally the first thing I did. And he's only 5, right? Like, I just didn't expect to have this, conversation with him or, have to do this at that age. But I mean, it's just the reality that we're living in right now, unfortunately. And, I really don't think it's too early or ever too early, Jesse, to your point.
Yeah. Well, no, that was good. Aaron, anything you can think of, my friend?
No, nothing else. And if anybody doesn't look like we've had any comments as far as questions goes, and if there is, it's not too late. Go ahead and throw them out there right now. And so maybe we can get them addressed with the expert.
Yeah, anytime now or later on, we can always find Gabe. He's always available, and it looks like he's going to be back because it looks like I don't know when it's going to happen, but we got another one. So we've covered parental control today. Looks like we've got something just as important, antivirus, in the Wisper Home app coming up next week, I think.
I think that's right. Yeah, I know we're going to talk about that one soon as well, going into the Protect IQ solution as part of your guys' Wisper Care plan. Again, just a fantastic way to protect all of the devices that are within your home. There's so many things that get thrown at your home network these days that I think many people don't even realize are happening. And this provides a great level of protection for that as well, that you guys have bundled together, for lack of a better term, within the Wisper Care plan. So I'm excited to talk about that one as well.
Sounds good. We are definitely looking forward to it. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap it up if everybody's okay with that. Thank you very much, Gabe. Once again, we'll look forward to talking to you again. And from me and Aaron, everybody who's watched this today or watching in the future, thank you so much. Please do comment. Please do like, subscribe, notifications. I'm not used to the YouTube thing, but we're on YouTube now, so I'm super excited about that as well. So we really appreciate that, and we'll look forward to talking to everybody next time. Thank you very much.
All right. See you later, guys.